AFL football wasn't always Nick Larkey's obsessive desire. The late draft pick has become a powerhouse forward and much sought after All-Australian, who spends some of his downtime creating art for some of the biggest names in the game. Loyal to the ruse and brilliant with impersonations. Tonight, Nick Larkey is Unfiltered. Did you always want to play AFL?
I suppose it's a good question. I mean, I don't think I really saw myself as an AFL player until maybe 3 years into being in the system. I remember growing up loving footy, obsessed with the Hawks. It was weird, looking back, I can't remember ever thinking I would actually be an AFL player, let alone one that could play, 100 games plus. So, yeah, not always growing up.
Your coach at Oakley mixed in here said he's got a good highlights tape, ruck forward back. I just don't know whether he's committed enough to actually ever make it. Is that a fair assessment at the time of who you were?
Yeah, I'd say so. I reckon, putting myself in his shoes, he would have seen, like it is at TAC Cup, some of the most desperate, hard-working blokes to get a look in, get a chance in the team, get drafted, do everything they can right. And I remember rocking up to training, 5-10 minutes before we start and get out. But blokes have been there an hour, 2 hours before. And I thinking, back then, I would think, what are these guys doing? If I'm good enough, they're going to pick me up if I'm good enough. I'll play well on the weekends. I don't need to be down here doing extra stuff. I love school. I had great mates at school, so I didn't want to sacrifice any of that to come down early and train when I was about to go and do a 2 hour session anyway. But definitely he would have seen, I could do some more things on the field, but he rocks up 5 minutes before training's about to start and he leaves pretty much when it's done, when there's all these other guys putting in heaps and heaps of work. So I always had that mindset before I got drafted was, if I'm good enough, I'm good enough. I play good footy, they're going to pick me up. If not, it's not the end of the world.
So going into the 16 draft, did you think you'd get picked up?
I thought I was a 50-50 chance to get picked up in the national draft, but maybe a 70-30 in the rookies. I was just pretty naive back then, because even when they came, I remember Mum giving me a serve after Mark Finnegan came to my house for the first time and, gave the interview and sort of came across well. And then he was and then he's like, do you have any questions at the end? And I was like, oh yeah, so where do you guys train? And and Mum was like, oh God, you've got to do your research. Being an interview, you got to research before they come. She just didn't think it was a good look, but he mustn't have thought too much of it because they came back 3 times. But yeah, I didn't get all the clubs interviewing me. That's why I thought I was a 50-50 chance. And then, in the rookie, maybe a bit more of a certainty because clubs had said things here and there. But yeah.
So you finally get your opportunity to play at AFL level. How did it go?
Well, I've told it a few times. It's funny to look back on now. But, at the time, I was, after the game, devastated. I haven't actually said it on the record, but I got injured in the VFL about 4 weeks before my first game. I just got bone bruising in the back of my knee, so I was 4 weeks out. Scotty was like, mate, we're going to give you a game when you're right back injured. He said that week. I was like, oh, how good's this? I was at maybe 95%. But you'd want to be at 100% for your first game, and it just, I don't know, nothing went my way that first game. I remember I had about 8 touches, but no disposals. So I could have taken an advantage late in the third, hadn't touched it, but there was no one ahead of me. I had to give it back to Brownie, got a few ruck taps, dropped about 3 marks. So I could have had my hands on the footy a bit, but it wasn't to be. And then I remember just post-game in the rooms, just devastated. But I remember going back home after that and just looking up every player who'd never touched the ball in their debut. Made me feel a little bit better seeing some of the names there.
What did Boomer Harvey say in the room?
Yeah. Well, Mason Wood said in the rooms after the game, he was like, geez, mate, you're filling up the stat sheet, Sylvie. I was like, mate, come on, mate, time and a place. I think I came in for him. I was like, mate, I'm absolutely devastated, get lost. But Boomer, I remember trying to console me afterwards when I was doing my match review, and he was like, mate, don't worry about it. I only had the 1 touch in my debut. I did come on in the third quarter, though, as a sub. So I was like, mate, come on. But it's funny to look back on now, as I said, because of the way my career's progressed from there. And it actually set me up. I had another game then and had a full year in the VFL after that, which had set me up to come in and be right when I really was ready to play.
So no games in 18, but since then it's just been constant progression. Have you surprised yourself as to where you've been able to go?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like my whole career has been a sort of a series of sort of surprising myself up until about maybe 3 years ago, when I realised, I can have a strong, successful career and I can actually make an impact and help take this club somewhere, which is, just been a special thing to realise over the years, and funny to look back on how naive I was at the start of my career.
I mean, all Australians, 71 in a season, almost a Coleman, 4 times leading goal kicker, clubs continually checking in.
It was never even on my radar to think I would be, an All-Australian or lead a club's goal kicking, anything like that. But I think as well, like, the way the clubs put faith in me and set me up to do well has actually helped me as well. I mean, at pick 73, I didn't have any expectation on my shoulder. I feel a bit bad for some of those young draftees coming in who are really high picks, who have all this expectation on their shoulders. They have to play well, and if they don't, it's a bust. Whereas I just had a free crack at it.
Free swing.
Yeah, free swing. If it worked out, it was like, geez, how good's this, gem from the rough? But if it didn't, it's like, well, he was a, raw talent, raw kid anyway. A lot of them don't work out. But I'm really at the point in my career now, I have been for a while actually, of just none of that matters at all. I love the game because of the people around them. It's a team game, and I just want to taste that success of being in a winning side. After I had that really good year with the All-Australian, that next year I actually felt myself under more pressure than I had been previously, just because...
And that's completely self-placed.
Yeah, completely, yeah. But you definitely feel that, because while it was nice for that, part of the best thing for me about getting the blazer was me just feeling more confident in trying to help other guys. So when I try to help my teammates or give points here or there, it actually might come across, like, oh yeah, well he's Australian. Yeah. It comes across, it hits different to what it was if I didn't have that. That was the best part, because I felt like I could influence maybe a bit more even at the club. But with it came more expectation, and if you're not performing to that level, you feel like you're a little bit letting people down. So yeah, I while I may sometimes look like laid back, relaxed about it, definitely feel all of that at stages. You have to prove yourself again to the new coach.
6 coaches in the first 80 games.
Is that right? We thought we had our guy to give us some stability. Yeah, that was tough. I thought the place was cursed. At some point it's going to turn, and you have to make it turn, but when it does, I want to be part of it. For me personally, it would mean so much more winning it here. Our wins will take care of themselves if everyone's in that mindset.
The darkest time?
I think it's always been when we've lost a coach. So it's just, I found it a little bit exhausting as well. You have to prove yourself again to the new coach. So like,
I think you had 6 coaches in the first 80 games.
Yeah, is that right? Yeah, well, yeah. It felt like that for a while, but it's been so good having the stability of Clarko here now and his team. The coach doesn't doesn't know every day of what it looked like when you're at the club. Like in my first years, I worked really, really hard. And it's not important now for Clarko, but Clarko didn't see what I was doing in my first few years. But imagine if I had a coach that had seen my whole journey. I sometimes think that. But yeah, every time you get a new coach, you have to sort of, it's like prove yourself again. And they bring in their whole new team as well. So it's not just the coach, it's all the staff around. So the vibe of the place changes, but it's exhausting trying to prove yourself again over and over, which has been refreshing now. So the darkest time, I mean, we've had a fair few big bad losses, but I reckon when it was pretty tough when we finally got Clarko. Felt like we had stability, and then that media stuff, the Indigenous stuff came in and just sort of, and he had to go away again for his mental health, and that was tough for him. We were all feeling for him first and foremost, but as well for the club, because we thought we had our guy to give us some stability. And Rats did a great job that year, but Yeah, that was tough. Again, I was just thought the place was cursed.
71 goals, and you're an All-Australian. How strong or how accurate were the rumours that Sydney came hard trying to do a deal pre-end of contract?
Oh yeah, Sydney expressed interest. I never actually met with them face to face, but they'd expressed interest in a couple other clubs. So yeah, I mean, I was flattered by it, and you know, whenever you sign on, when there's a contract long term for you, it's a big decision. At the end of the day, I just couldn't bring myself to face the group and basically tell them, lads, like, I don't believe in you guys. Like, it's effectively what you're saying. You wouldn't say it like that, but for me, walking away from the club like that is effectively what you'd be saying. And also, I'd done the real hard yards, and I'm like, mate, this can't keep going on forever. Like, I've been here at the toughest times almost in North Melbourne history. At some point, it's going to turn, and you have to make it turn. And I can finally see the structure of the list and the way boys are maturing now that it is going to turn. But when it does, I want to be part of it, like I've said. Winning a flag is unbelievable in any circumstances. For me personally, it just would mean so much more winning it here, you know, or just bringing some success to the club.
When you are going badly, I remember Ash Barty, she's brilliant talking about this, when you lose and when you win, and she says the person and the performance are completely separate. So if I win Wimbledon, I'm not a better person. If I lose first round, I'm not worse either. But it took her a long time to piece all that together, and once she did, life was easier.
It's funny you say that. We this year got on Kane Johnson, so he's a sort of mindfulness mindset coach, but also helping us with our leadership, because we needed just a change up in some of the influences at the club. It just hadn't been working for us in terms of like developing players and stuff. And you can see it on the field when when teams get a run of 3 or 4 goals on us and then we just fall away. We might be in the game for 3 quarters or halfway through, and all of a sudden it just falls away. And it's just like, how do you get yourself back up above the line? We've been taught basically positive mindset versus negative mindset. It's not revolutionary, but funny say, Ash Buddy, like thinking, I changed my perspective on footy because the win-loss had taken a bit of a toll. And to be honest, in the last off-season, I was, halfway through that, I still hadn't felt that. I felt physically refreshed, but mentally I was still like, geez, because we finished on a poor note. But anyway, Jizer met up with him. He's like, mate, you got to speak to this guy. You'll love him. I was like, all right, I'll go have a coffee with him. And basically just talked to him for like 3 hours over a coffee. And he, just talking to him and the way he talked about footy and perspective and stuff and putting things into perspective just instantly refreshed me. I remember coming out of it and ringing out the cam and going, mate, at all costs, get this bloke on board. Because he made me shift my mindset of going, outcome should never be your focus. And I think when you lose all the time, you can get very weighed down in the outcome. It's like 11 losses in a row, 5 losses in a row, just like lose. We have to get this win. We must win. And switching it from win-loss to all that I should be focusing on is enjoyment of my football and enjoyment of the little things of the game and loving the game again for what it is, because I get to play with teammates or celebrating in other people's victories, all that stuff. And if you get that right, that winning will be a byproduct of that. Because when you play with confidence and when you're in the moment and you're enjoying yourself, you're playing your best footy. And it just was like exactly what we want to try and create here. An environment where everyone is just loving their football, loving playing with each other, being present in the moment, and our wins will take care of themselves if everyone's in that mindset and playing like that.
It's pretty hard if you're only measuring your happiness on the wins and losses. I mean,
I'd be in a dark spot.
Well, you'd be in a dark spot, but in the end of the year, only one team wins.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't love the game when I first played only if we won all the time. Like when you're a junior, you just love playing because one, you're good at it, and then two, you get a hot dog after the game. You love like the little things in the game. You love like the smell of the grass, the putting on the dirty old boots, and then the families you meet, the people you meet in it. That's why footy's such a great game to me. Anyway, I just love that part of it. And if you can be in tune with yourself to, be grateful for that stuff. The more you're going to get out of the game, and the wins will take care of themselves.
You found art. You found the music. When did you discover whatever it is you get from artwork?
Yeah, it's unreal. You just put on some tunes and you can be, painting for 4 or 5 hours, and it feels like, the day goes quick. And then after you've finished it, you just feel great about it. I don't know. I get a good feeling. I don't know whether it's just a feeling of accomplishment or something like that, but that's the feeling of being in the moment. That's being present and in the moment. And you can get the same sort of feeling when you are present on a football field, but it's like a flow state sort of thing. It's a nice place to slip into, but sometimes it's hard to get in there in the first place, like I said, with, subject matter you want to paint and all that stuff. But yeah, it's a lucky that I've got that outlet that I can go to if I need it.
Have you always been able to do impersonations?
Well, when I first got to the club, there was just a couple, and I didn't know I could do them really before I got to the club. And then there was just a couple characters, particularly like staff members, that I just found that I could do. And then, whenever there was a gap in meetings, the boys would say, Sylv, get up, do Petey Bequee, who's our club doctor at the time, or do Matty Ferrara, the strength and conditioning guy at the time, and it'd just be a way to fill in time. And it was a way I could actually get in to be a part of the lads in the team. So,
give me Rafa.
Well, Hamish, I know I have not been interviewed by you before, but it is a pleasure to sit here with you, North Melbourne. You remind me of Jim Courier. He's an incredible commentator, incredible interviewer, but he has some work to do to fill your shoes. So.
When was the last time you'd done a Rafa?
Oh, once you've got it, you've got it.
Jeez,
that's a big responsibility. If I don't step up here and make something of myself and something to this forward line, the club's going to really hurt. I can see it in main trainings, I can see it off the field. When it clicks on field, I'll be able to see, it can turn quick. You don't have to define yourself off winning a premiership. At the end of my career, I want North Melbourne to be
What question should I have asked you that would have got an extraordinary response that would surprise the viewer?
Oh, wow. Were you much of a professional in your early years? Maybe. And I would say, absolutely not. I just wasn't much of a professional football player in my first few years. And which, I assume people looking in would think you're doing everything right, but I was, as I've said throughout the interview, I was naive in my first few years of and I liked being able to balance my schoolmates and keep a balance in my life rather than just have footy, which set me up later on down the track. But in order to really be a good AFL player, you need to be a good professional, and I, as I said, when I was at the club, I'd work really, really hard, and I would stay extra hours at the club. But when I was away from the club, I was not that professional at all with my preparation and anything like that, which I thought at the time was helping me. But when you get good enough to be, and when the club instills the belief in you that I'm going to be the key forward, the number one key forward after they got rid of Ben Brown, you're like, oh. Geez, that's a big responsibility. If I don't step up here and really make something of myself and something of this forward line, the club's going to really hurt because they won't have a key forward. We didn't have another key forward.
Do you ever allow yourself to think about a deep finals campaign and what grand final day might look like?
Oh, always, yeah.
Give it to me. And be granular.
Yeah, all the time. I envision being up on the stage, lifting the cup with Jai, with Shees, or touching the cup, and all the boys running onto that stage with the confetti, I envision holding the cup up with Cam Zurhaar on the boundary line, standing there, like they do, with all the fans and the faithful who've been there with us for years, through all the hard times with us, celebrating it with them. That is the stuff that it gives you goosebumps, and it gets you gets you emotional thinking about all that stuff, like how worth it would be. And it seems, and it is, talking about it now from where we've been, it's a long way away. But I think the other thing I've learned in footy is, like, it doesn't have to be. It can turn quickly, and that's what everyone tells you in a rebuild. And for years I've been like, well, I don't know about that. Like, I've been here for 8 years. We've been rebuilding pretty much for 8 years since I've been here, and it has not turned quick. But I've finally sort of realised this pre-season what they mean by that, when it does turn, and when you can see the list around you structured up the way it is now. I can just see the talent we've got, and it's really, really young talent. When those guys, and when we all get 50 more games of experience, or 20, or whatever it is, it could be straight away this year. You never know when it happens, but a lot of it's between the years. And I looked at Hawthorn this year, and we were both 0-6 when we played, and they beat us. And whatever reason, that you could see it in the way they played, the confidence they played with. And all of a sudden, their list goes from an average-looking list to, geez, this list looks like one of the better lists in the competition. It's all these little gems you find. These guys are all around us here. And I can see it in match sim, I can see it in main trainings, I can see it off the field, and the people who they are. When it clicks on field, I'll be able to see, it can turn quick. You don't have to be dwelling in the bottom four for any longer. If it clicks, I've got confidence that we're gonna jump up. But the other thing is, you don't have to define yourself off winning a premiership. I just, at the moment, all I want is just to show that we're improving and bring success, whether that's deep finals campaigns, but to sustain success, put the club in a place where it can stay successful for a long period of time, like your Geelongs, Sydney's. It's not everyone can win a premiership. They're bloody hard to win. That you daydream about that stuff, and one day you hope and you strive towards that. But you also just strive towards around bringing this place off the ground, a bit of success, and from where it's been.
Finish this sentence. At the end of my career.
At the end of my career, I want to see North Melbourne. I want North Melbourne to be looked at and respected as a club on and off the field.
Hope it happens. Love talking to you.
Lovely talking to you too, Hayne. Thanks very
Nick.
much, guys.